I'm Chris Farrell from the All Things Good and Nerdy podcast, a wacky weekend morning show, part of the Gonna Geek Network, just like the show you're checking out right now. Shows on the network are individually owned, and the opinions expressed may not reflect others. Find other awesome geeky shows over at GonnaGeekNetwork.com.
Talk hard and enjoy the mindgasm. The IntelleXual podcast starts now.
Welcome back to the IntelleXual podcast. I'm your host, David S. Dawson, and I am sitting comfortably in my living room podcasting today with my co-host,
Whitney Wegman-Wood.
You're really loud, Whitney.
Yeah.
That was louder than the mic check. How you doing, Whit?
I'm doing good.
Yeah?
Doing good.
Summertime?
Yeah, it's a little warm out right now.
Yeah.
Like,
you're
very
doing
warm
camp
out.
stuff, right?
Yes, I have been doing camp stuff. We've been doing chocolate lovers camp all week.
How's that work in the heat?
Lots of melted chocolate everywhere. No, we have to run a lot of stuff into the main YMCA building to chill it. But yeah, mostly it's a lot of melted chocolate everywhere.
Sounds messy.
Yeah. Kids love it though.
Well, we're going to sit down and have an interview, chat, discussion type thing with our dear friend Mike P.
What's up, guys?
Hi. I can't believe that you've never interviewed Mikey before.
Right? He's been a guest host on the podcast off and on for like 4 years.
Yeah, numerous times, mostly after movie reviews and stuff like that. But yeah.
So, hi, Mike.
What's up?
How's your summer going?
It's been good. Busy.
Yeah, you've been doing corporate AV stuff with me for the last couple of years.
I think, as of May, I think I've only been accumulatively home 2.5, 3 weeks out of the entire 6 months, 5-6 months.
Wow.
Yeah.
So day here, day there, but yeah, it's what you went through last year, and you told me about, and I joined on to digital March last year, so I missed the first half of the crazy, and now it's just. So I'm really happy to be home for a month and a half.
Yeah, I'm starting to get itchy to get back on the road, though.
Oh God, no! I don't want to do a thing.
But you don't want to leave until after Comic-Con, right?
Sure, Comic-Con. Yeah, it's weird. Comic-Con's not been on my radar like all year because like I didn't get a pro badge. I didn't have a badge. I figured I wasn't gonna go, and then I don't know. Shit happens and life changes, and like last year I found myself on a panel. This year I'm going to be signing autographs under this.
That's awesome, man. That's awesome.
That'll be a blast.
It's interesting because like out of all of us, actually, like I've had the last 4 years straight out of everyone else. So I've actually had a little bit more of the most experienced the con itself. Mm-hmm. But yeah, being part of an actual panel and stuff that's pretty dope, dude.
That's pretty awesome.
Yeah. So. So Sunday, up under the sails on the top floor of the convention center, you'll find me at the Star Wars Toy Stories table, signing autographs with the rest of the cast, including the latest addition to the cast, Jamie Acosta, who's playing Han Solo in the upcoming Star Wars Home Solo, a Star Wars Toy Story, which I'm coming back to play Yoda in. I'm so excited.
That's awesome, dude.
So, pretty cool stuff. But we're not here to talk about me. We're here to talk about you.
It's a little bit of both.
I'm pretending to be Whitney.
That's what I usually say. So, what's been going on in your world, Mikey? Other than, so you've been traveling a lot. What projects are you working on?
Not a lot right now. The only thing that we are working on, the IntelleXuals as a group, is this horror anthology. Mm-hmm.
Which we will start shooting some footage on in August.
Yep. And hopefully that'll be pitched and be able to fund for the rest of the filming and stuff. I'm slowly starting to roll out my own business. I've been working on trying to make my own brand for a while. As far as photography and video.
Okay.
So I've been working on different names and pitching different things to different people. As far as my own photography, corporate stuff, all that. So I'm working on more of my just own personal stuff.
So it's going more like corporate direction as opposed to like weddings and events and things like that?
Not necessarily. Like I took over a contract to do dance competitions.
Okay.
All over San Diego, LA County. that I've been working with this guy named George the last couple of years, but he retired. So they like me so much as the camera guy that they want me back, and so I have to make my own LLC out of everything. So
Gotcha.
So that's been fun trying to learn all that stuff.
Well, that's good though.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. I'm stoked for it.
That's great. So, okay, so that's what's going on in your current life. I wonder, so...
Well, why don't we get the history on Mike?
I was going to say.
There and we'll work our way to present. So, Mikey, when were you conceived?
Wow, we're going way back with this one.
Right.
Well, I said I'd take it back to the beginning.
1984.
It's a Stranger Things year.
Yeah.
Where were you?
I am born in
the backseat of a Lincoln car.
I don't even want to know the stories.
This is going to be one of those shows.
I mean, I'm born in November, so I'm probably a Valentine's baby. January, February.
Yeah.
Plus, I'm from Minnesota, so what else do you do in the winter?
All right, well, so we kind of went around about way we got to that answer. You were born in Minnesota.
Yes.
All right, which is quite a ways from here.
Yep.
So what was life in Minnesota like?
Great. I loved it. I love the change of seasons. Summer is the best time ever out there. They don't call it the land of 10,000 lakes for no reason. You can literally drive 5 minutes a different direction, be on the water. I grew up on boats, skiing during the winter, later on snowboarding a little bit. But yeah, summer, fall were by far the best times out there.
So now, growing up, were you involved in film or at all? Did you have that program in your high school or photography?
Yes. I've always just grew up. My mom was more of a photographer. My dad was more of the videographer. So I always grew up with cameras around me.
Were they professional at that, or were they hobbyists?
No, just hobbyist.
Yeah.
But, dad with the huge VHS camera over their shoulder, VHS camera. Mom with a really nice Nikon that she let me borrow multiple times, once to Europe. But, doing home movies and stuff, I vividly remember when my dad, I think it was about 9 or 10, where he was like, "You're doing better than I could ever do with a camera." So I think it was my 11th or 12th birthday. They got me a Super 8 millimeter camera, and so I just started shooting my own stuff.
Fun.
Yeah.
What sort of stuff did you shoot at that age?
A lot of wakeboarding videos.
Okay.
Anything and everything, but my inspiration has always been wildlife. I grew up watching Marty Stauffer's Wild America. Later on, Jeff Corwin, Steve Irwin, all those guys. So I did a lot of films at zoos and stuff like that too, just on my own.
Very cool. So okay, throughout your younger years and through high school, you were doing that. But then you went away to college, and did you continue to pursue that, or where did you go?
So it's funny. I've always part of that inspiration is I've known since I was a little kid. I've always wanted to film wildlife documentaries, but I've never known how to actually go about doing that. And you ask any high school
guidance.
Thank you, guidance counselor. I have no idea. But I was really good at science and biology because it's again part of the animal loving as well. So besides film, animals have always just been my other big thing. I went to college for biology. So I majored in biology, but while I was there, I have a minor in theater, which I took a lot of my film courses in. I took one film course back in high school, loved it, but it was great. My theater in college was my release from all the crazy labs and all the high-tech science, math, chemistry, all the stuff that I hated. But film and theater just came naturally, and it was just fun.
And were you an actor, a tech, or both?
Both, but I've never really thought of myself as an actor. I enjoyed doing it, but I didn't really. I've always preferred being behind the camera.
Or for what side? So obviously there's not a camera for stage, but where were you hanging out in theater?
For the theater courses I did, that was on stage. My favorite was I took a stage combat course. That was by far the best.
I loved my stage combat stuff.
Dude, those
in
were
college.
that was just fun. I reenacted a whole like WWE scene at one point. It was fun.
So like hand to hand.
Oh yeah,
Did you do any fencing?
hair to chair.
Yeah, I did sword play.
You did sword play?
No, we didn't do any sword play, but yeah,
I
it was
did
fun.
sword play, and then I went and joined the fencing club for like 2 semesters.
It's really different competitive fencing versus like my problem was I took competitive fencing whenever I was younger and then tried to do stage combat and I was really aggressive. So I kept on being reprimanded for like, you're not actually supposed to hit them. Okay, sorry.
No, I never did any of that, but I mean, I grew up playing soccer. I did other sports too, but soccer was my main sport until my junior year of high school, and I picked up lacrosse.
Oh.
And I love lacrosse because I was either a mid or an attack for both sports, but I was never that big of an aggressive player.
We also got those tiny feet.
Yeah, that too. That's total hobbit feet. My mom, the first game she ever saw me play in lacrosse, even with the helmet on, I totally checked a guy that was easily 6 foot, and I'm 5'8", knocked him on his butt, and she could just tell, even with the helmet on, she could just tell just smiling ear to ear. But yeah, that's the sport I actually got really good at.
So growing up in Minnesota, you have one type of nature exposure growing up, but when you went to college, you went down to Florida.
Yeah.
What was that like as an animal lover to move into such a different environment?
Well, so I've always been more attracted to marine life. Mm-hmm. When I was originally planning on going to college, I was going to go to school for marine biology. But that was when a lot of my guidance counselors and stuff, well, at least get your degree in biology so you have a broader field to go into.
Right.
But you can take courses concentrated in marine. But I've always loved sharks, dolphins, turtle. I've always loved more things in the water. So I chose a school in Florida that literally you walk out and I'm on the Gulf of Mexico.
Which school was it?
Eckerd College in St. Petersburg, Florida.
Okay.
Great school, loved it. We had our own waterfront program where I could go wakeboarding, sailing, diving. It was Camp Eckerd is what it became called. But yeah, it was fun. But Florida was always kind of unnaturally my second home. My grandparents were snowbirds, so they had a home down there. So all of our family vacations, most of the time for spring break or whatever, were down to Florida. Mm-hmm. Occasionally Mexico, but Florida was always our.
Mm-hmm. We went to Florida a lot whenever I think Midwest. It's an
and
easy
East
shot.
Coast, it's Florida.
Yeah.
Everywhere west, it's down to California or Mexico. Yeah.
Yep.
Or Hawaii. But yeah.
Yeah, oddly enough, not as many people go to Hawaii as you would think. It's like 3 time zones away. It's still very far.
It's still a far trip, absolutely.
Yeah. And it's expensive. Hawaii's expensive.
Yeah.
But at least it's more manageable from California than it is from.
Brings us to you went to college in Florida. How did you wind up in Hawaii?
When I was. So my senior year of college, I was volunteering and interning at the Clearwater Marine Aquarium. I was working with dolphins and otters there.
Like as a trainer or
Yeah.
Yeah.
As a trainer.
How do you train an otter?
Same way you can train any animal. It's all positive reinforcement. Actually, some of my best moments was we had an orphaned couple-week-old river otter that we basically had to teach how to swim and all this kinds of stuff. Softest animal I've ever touched in my life. It was cool. But any animal you trying to find what's rewarding. Food, toys, rubbing, whatever they like. Just think of a dog, right? You don't always have to give a dog a treat. It can be rubbing down, it can be patting, but you just find whatever any animal it responds to. So yeah, all based off positive reinforcement. So rewarding the good behavior, ignoring the unwanted behavior. So as I was graduating, I applied absolutely everywhere working with animals. I actually came out to San Diego for my first time, tried out for SeaWorld. Got sick 2 days before for the swim test, so I couldn't do the dive down to the bottom of the pool and all that kinds of stuff. I'm a very firm believer things happen for a reason. and I ended up on the Big Island of Hawaii at Dolphin Quest. They were hiring 2 positions at the time. One was a dolphin trainer. One was a production specialist. So Dolphin Quest is an interactive facility. It's at the Hilton Waikoloa.
Which is a beautiful resort.
It's funny. Dave and I have talked about this, that he's actually been there before I actually moved out there.
Yeah, I've never been to Hawaii, so.
Hawaii is great. And each island is incredibly different.
Yep. Each island is a complete and unique experience in and of itself.
Yeah.
It's amazing. Hawaii's incredible to visit.
Yeah. So I applied for both the training position and the production one. But when I came down to the interview, I was talking to the production supervisor, and it's like, well, I like doing the training. It's fun, but it's not ultimately what I want to do. And I started talking about the film and my love of wildlife documentaries, and they're like, okay. They hired me pretty much on the spot. Day after I graduated college. So went home, unpacked my stuff. 2 weeks later, moved out to Hawaii. Never been out there. If you've never been on the Big Island, which you have not, you land and you're like, okay, I'm expecting tropical trees, palm trees, Jurassic Park. The Big Island is like you're landing on the moon. There's black lava rock as far as you can see.
Okay.
It's the trippiest thing ever.
Which side did you land on?
Kona,
yeah. Because it's completely different.
Oh, Hilo is...
On Hilo's side. Hilo is Jurassic Park.
Yep, exactly. It's over 300 inches of rain a year, the most spot in the United States, I believe. Otherwise, there's one spot in Kauai that also gets just as much rain.
Yeah, the Big Island's a trip because it has
11 of the 13 climates.
11 of the 13 climates on the Big Island.
Wow. Wow.
And so in a day, you can really confuse your body.
Some really intense topography.
So it takes an entire day to drive the entire circle all the way around the island.
I've driven up to the top of Mauna Kea, gotten snow up there, and driven down to the beach and have a snowball fight in the beach. So it's great. So I was out there taking photos and videos of people getting in the water, interacting with dolphins. Absolutely loved it. Expected it to be a 2 to 3 year job, as kind of most people who move out to Hawaii, I think are. Then the economy dropped in 08 and 09, and I had a job, so I stayed out there for 7.5 years.
I mean, not too bad. It's,
it's
tropical paradise and all.
It is, but at the same time, when you live in paradise and you're working in paradise, it's not really always paradise, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I lived in board shorts, barefoot, free diving on my weekends. Took my GoPro absolutely everywhere, filming. A lot of free diving, dive videos and all that kinds of stuff. The hiking was awesome. All the outdoor stuff I love to do was perfect.
So, okay, if you always had your GoPro on you, what is the craziest thing that you captured?
I always love sharks, and I've tried to. I don't know how many times I've dove in areas that I known tiger sharks are at, and I finally saw one like my last dive I did in Hawaii. After 7 years, I finally found one, but the water was murky, dark, and it's just like you could just see it just on the edge of your vision at maybe 30, 40 feet. For me to go, okay, cool, but I'm freaked out because you can't see 30 feet in front of you, and if this thing's coming at you, then yeah. But I have a really cool video of an eel striking my GoPro.
Oh, that's pretty close.
But I have by far my favorite though is I have a couple really good shots of octopus that I've seen, and that I'll go down, mount my my GoPro between some rocks and some coral, and then just let it sit there. And the octopus came out of its little hole that I was hiding in, and just kind of looked around and just stared at it and changed colors and stuff. So I love octopus. They're like one of my favorite animals ever.
Pretty lucky that it didn't bust up your camera.
Yeah,
there's
smaller, not like big giant.
Okay.
So the Hawaiian day octopus is only about 2 feet max.
Well, you've seen the one in Japan that they taught how to use a camera.
No, that's cool.
Oh, there's an octopus at one of the aquariums in Japan, and you can, for like $40, the octopus will take a picture of you looking at it, and then that's the gift that you get to take home, and usually like one of its tentacles is in there. But
that's pretty cool though.
Yeah.
They're so smart.
They're very smart. They're like 3-year-olds. But the first time they gave it the camera, it just smashed it to bits. And then the second time they gave it to it.
I was really curious what it was doing, because it was really like the first time I saw it, because in the GoPro's got the red blinking light on it, right? So it started flashing black and red and like all these really cool colors, but eventually it calmed down, but it was cool.
Yeah.
You could totally tell I was checking it out.
Yeah, it was very threatened at first.
Now, you showed me a video that you got to shoot, and I think it was at Dolphin Quest, but you've got video that you shot of a dolphin being born, right?
By far my favorite thing I've ever shot in my life.
Yeah.
I actually just looked at it the other day, and I haven't looked at it in a couple of years now. YouTube has over 7.6 million views.
Oh, well.
It's...
Hopefully you've monetized that.
I can't, because unfortunately it's Dolphin Quest's property.
But that's amazing.
Yeah.
It's such a cool piece of video.
It was one of the coolest moments of my life, and because I've always, like I said, I've dove my entire life pretty much, snorkeling and scuba diving. So that was one of those moments that KO, the mom, had the baby within 6-7 feet of me, so right in front of camera. My only problem was it was an old SD camera, so the quality is not the greatest, but it was just like once in a lifetime opportunity, literally.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing. So you spent 7.5 years in Hawaii, and then you came to San Diego.
Yep.
When you came to San Diego, you said you were only intending to be in Hawaii for like 2 years, and then you ended up being there for almost 3 times plus as long as you intended. When you came back to the mainland, like what was your game plan coming back?
I went back to school for film. I know I wanted, like I've done, like I said, like amateur video my entire life with a couple, school programs here and there, but not like full on courses. So I just want to get more serious about it.
Right.
I didn't want to go for a 2 or 4 year program. I was 30 years old at this time. So I'm like, I just don't have time and money for a full 4-year program. So I went back to UCSD's extension program for film, for a 1-year program. Basically to get my feet more, in the door and learn more of the other sides. Cause like I know I can improve in camera, but at the same time, like I was always a camera person. So I purposely like paid attention to audio, to lighting, to post-production, especially too. Like I could always make my way through, either Windows Media Maker or, Pinnacle at the time. Those were the 2 that I had.
Yeah.
And those were rough. Oh my God. But yeah, so it was really paying attention to the other aspects of filmmaking.
Right. With the intention of eventually becoming a wildlife documenter.
Yep.
It was around that time that you and I met.
Yep. I met you the last quarter of school.
Right.
When we were working on our final project. We were supposed to have some guest speaker that never showed up, and you were randomly there talking, and you gave a great talk about audio, and
I pop into the class to say hi to their teacher, and she's like, "My guest speaker didn't show. Like something came up. Can you talk to the class?" And I was like, "About what?" She's like, "Audio. Talk to them about audio." I'm like, "All right." So I spent an hour talking about audio with you guys, and
then we showed our rough cut of our final project.
Yep.
And that's when you came in and you're like, okay, I see a couple people in this main project that me, Allie,
there were like 2 or 3 people in that project who, in the course of because I did like Q&A with them, like, what questions do you have about working in the business? What questions about audio specifically? Because that's what we were talking about. And then we went through their film and we had a discussion about, things that I saw in the edit that they were working on. And I'm always trying to pay attention when I go into classroom settings, especially for, kids who have kind of the eye and the sensibility that would fit in well with working with me. And Mike was like right at the top of the list. Like every question he had was on point. Every time I turned and really paid attention to the class, he was focused in on everything that I was talking about, and he just stood out. There were other people in that class who were obviously just like completely uninterested in anything I had to say. I'm like, well, even feigning interest is important in this business.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that was, what, 5? Have you been in San Diego 5 years?
October will be 5 years.
5 years in October. Wow. I feel like you and I moved out here very
Right
near the same time. That's crazy.
Yeah.
You know, it's close to 5 years for me, too. Not San Diego, but California in general.
Yeah, you were up in LA
I was.
for a little while.
I was for about 9 months.
Banging around, doing modeling shoots and stuff.
Yep. Hanging out by the beach. So you met David.
Yep.
And did you guys immediately start working together, or?
The first thing we did together was recency effect.
Yeah, that was about 4 months or so after.
So this would have been after I did school, right? So yeah, because that would have been 4 points. That was September, October.
Yeah, it was September.
But after I graduated, I miraculously, I'm like, okay, I'm like, what do I go through after this? My neighbor downstairs, I saw him moving in one day, and he had a whole bunch of camera equipment. I'm like, dude, what do you do? And he does real estate photography. So I'm like, do you ever need video? He's like, yes, actually I do. I don't have anyone. So I started working for a real estate photographer. And I always need a second camera. So I think prior to recency, did you and Brian both come on to help out with DVK at all? Or was that after?
I think
Same time, maybe?
I think I came out and helped out with that because before recency effect, we did Film in Diego, right?
Right.
So you worked on Film in Diego, and you and I got to work a little bit on that because I did sound on Film in Diego, and then we did recency effect, and then you did DVK.
Right, sure. That's right. I forgot about film.
Yeah,
So
Film in Diego kept you busy through that summer.
Yep.
And okay, so for those who don't know, what is Film in Diego?
Film in Diego was the 6-part series that aired on KPBS that was all about local filmmakers here in San Diego. Sorry, excuse me. We highlighted a bunch of different directors, cinematographers, a lot of people that were in the 48-hour film competition, but each episode had a different theme, whether it was music, action, whatever.
And how did you get connected with KPBS, or was that after?
Well, so this was all. This was the project started actually at the UCSD Extension Program. Oh. We shot a pilot for it that we ended up pitching to KPBS. So this is all through Jody.
Gotcha.
And myself, Allie, Amy Cardis, a couple of other people kind of here and there helped still with the actual production of it. So Jody was the one to take care of all the KPBS stuff. But yeah, so she kept a couple of us on that did the pilot. So I did anything from directing, DP, a lot of camera, obviously, and post-production and producing. I had many hats on that show. many hats.
Yeah, you were very busy getting that show put together. But yeah, so then he came out to help out on the recency effect.
Yep.
And you came out as part of the Grapher crew.
Yep.
Yeah. And so you were working with JT and Micah. And in the middle of the shoot, we realized, because, it's film competition, 3-day, we write a script, and I write this script where we need basically a body double for this, like, god of a man that I brought down back from LA. And we need a guy to basically stand in, be his body double, because he's talking to himself and all these like weird flashbacks and stuff. And
I had long hair at the time.
Mike's hair was much longer then. And Bo's hair was long, but not as long as yours was. And I asked Mike, I'm like, will you play the body double? But I'm gonna need you to cut your hair. And he's like, okay.
Only for Dave. I said.
and then I see on Facebook photos of him getting his hair cut, and there's like hashtag only for Dave. I'm like, I love this kid.
How long was your hair?
Medium.
Like yours.
Yeah.
Okay, so like nape of the neck.
Like yours, but a little thicker.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh God, I have thick hair.
I can't imagine it because I've always seen you like very.
I'll show you pictures.
Short, well groomed hair.
Yeah, that's the new Mikey.
New Mikey.
This is actually the hair I've had, I would say 85-90% of my life. But I definitely have gone through phases where I've gone full shoulder length to all over the place.
Yeah, I'm not one to criticize. My hair goes all over the map.
Yeah, and it goes quick, so it's whatever. You can always change hair.
So you're living in San Diego.
Yep.
You're doing film with people around town, but you mentioned when you first were getting out of undergrad, you were looking for a job, and that you had interviewed with SeaWorld. Since you've been living here, do you have any connection back to them, or has
to SeaWorld?
Yeah.
I do have a couple trainers that I know that I used to work with at Dolphin Quest that have moved here.
But I mean, have you been working with them at all, like as far as
No.
try to do their videography or anything?
No.
I've
applied at the San Diego Zoo a couple times.
Oh, that's a good one.
I would prefer that. But yeah, every time I try, it just doesn't go through. So
The zoo's pretty cool.
I love the zoo. I absolutely love the zoo.
What would you?
I've always loved zoos and aquariums.
What would you ideally like do at the zoo?
The zoo has its own TV channel.
Does it really?
Yep. And they do a lot of stuff for kids' education. They're actually, I want to say on Animal Planet, they're this next spring, fall, they're debuting a show called The Zoo, and it's all the training and everything that happens at San Diego Zoo.
That's pretty neat.
Yep.
Very cool. I didn't even know that. Animal Planet. Who knew?
I don't have cable anymore, so I don't actually watch it. But
I think Sean might have known.
Oh, does Sean watch a lot of Animal Planet?
yeah,
Yeah, Sean loves Animal Planet. Kids in general love Animal
I
Planet.
always love science and all that stuff. Like but even before like Planet Earth and stuff, like there was life, there was Blue Planet, and I was like, how the heck do these guys get these shots? It's some of the craziest stuff ever.
Well, that's what happens when you have a budget and lots of time.
Yeah, patience,
the ability
and
to sit down and do. I remember that first Planet Earth, the one like snow leopard or whatever,
Yes.
the Chinese cat. They're like the guy sat up there for like 3 years or something.
Yeah.
Just waiting to get this one
the
shot.
one 30-second shot.
And he got the one shot of that animal. I'm like, boy, what an interesting
I love
interesting
traveling.
turn of events where you're like, hey, we're going to hire you, and basically we need you to spend the next 3 years just hoping and
Camping
praying
out
to
in
get
one
this
spot.
shot.
Yep. Yeah, I'm all for traveling and all that, and I've got a lot of patience, but sometimes I'm like, geez, that's a lot.
So in that guy's case, I assume that they were cameras that he had set up and then just had to monitor, or
He was in that particular shot. He was on the adjacent mountain
With a gigantic
with
zoom.
a giant zoom lens camera, like preset and ready to roll. And he just sat in this cubby looking across the canyon, waiting to see if he could see this
wow.
Chinese snow leopard start to move somewhere on the face of the other side of the valley.
Later on,
he saw it.
Yep.
He, hits the record button and
Yeah, later on, more of the remote cameras, like the second one, definitely.
Okay.
Later on, more remote cameras were used. But that first year, I forget how old the series is now, 12
or 15
They're 15 years.
And they spent 5 years shooting the footage for that first one.
But the stuff that come out this last one, all this footage is gorgeous. And, it's part of my love of time lapses.
Technology has changed so much just in the last 15 years.
Absolutely.
In terms of getting miniaturized, automated, tracking, the ability to track through AI is amazing.
Yep.
They couldn't do that before. That very first one, they had some cameras set up that were motion detecting. If something moved into frame, they'd start recording. So you caught glimpses of animals walking in front of the camera. But now they've got them where they turn on and they'll pan and move and
follow it.
The low light night cameras they have now and all that kinds of stuff. It's
incredible.
crazy. But that's also where I got my love of time lapses.
Oh.
Nature.
Yeah. And you and I got to go camping up at Joshua Tree.
Yep.
A couple of years ago. And we shot some absolutely incredible long exposure camping shots.
Those are good.
Of like the stars and
With the
things.
stars and us posing
our
with flashlights and
campfire,
stuff.
the two of us posing next to the campfire and stuff, and everybody's like, "Those you photoshopped in the stars and stuff." I'm like, no,
Dude, I just edited one of the ones from Monument Valley. Oh, it's sick. I can't wait to show you.
Well, then you guys both went to the eclipse. What was that, a year ago? Because you did some time.
2 years,
2 years ago.
2 years ago this August. Yeah.
You did some time lapse stuff there, right?
Yeah. Yes, I did. The footage didn't work for a time lapse, but it was still like the entire time going into the eclipse, I'm like, I'm just on a cool road trip with my buddy, right? Like Dave was stoked.
I was super excited.
Your kid in candy store. I'm like,
I'm
I'm just on
talking to him about it. And I'm like, you got to understand why it's so incredible, and these are the things we can expect. You know.
And I'm like, okay, I've seen eclipses in my past. But I'm like, whatever. It was the weirdest, coolest experience of my entire life. Literally, we're getting updates on our phones about what's going to happen pretty soon. And yep, sure enough, you hear crickets coming out. The animals change because as it gets getting, it happened at noon. But
yeah,
so we go from daylight.
It was like 11:38 or something. Is when it started.
By 11:30, you see the color just slowly starting to get stripped away, and just kind of this weird grayed out look.
And as visual people, as visual artists as we are, like absorbing all of the minute changes in how the world looked around us was incredible. Like everybody else is like focused on the eclipse. They got their little glasses on and they're watching the wedge move across.
And you're looking at these tonal shifts of the trees.
And Mike and I are with our cameras and stuff, like looking at the horizon and looking at the shadows on the ground and comparing the colors of the tent now on the sun side versus the shadow side. And I mean,
it dropped like 15, 20 degrees.
Easy. Yeah.
Dude, that was one of the craziest things. But then when it actually got into totality, literally a 360 sunset all the way around us. But it happened like that.
Huh.
And I said, can you imagine being an ancient Egyptian or something and all of a sudden this happens? No wonder you think the world's ending. Because I was like, dude.
The gods are mad.
Yeah.
Just like, what the heck just happened? The lights just finally just turned off in the middle of the day. But yeah, 5 minutes later, all back up, back to normal. And it was
well, and it's not just that too, because like the lights turn out.
Yeah.
But there's this very visible, incredible like ring of fire.
Yeah, the halo
around the black spot in the sky.
Yeah, the photos you got were sick.
Yeah, I'm so happy with my eclipse photos.
It's just too hard to expose for a time lapse for day, and then like I tried it. I'm like, I'm gonna try it, see what happens.
Yeah,
it just didn't turn on.
Thankfully, we had more than one camera out.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I was like, okay, you try your time lapse stuff, and I'm gonna do my close ups. And
what's it end up looking like? Just like a smear?
No, it was just I also wanted, there was a tree in frame that I really wanted as part of so you could see like the foreground too, how that's changing. It just ended up just being this tiny little dot, but you didn't really see the sun. It was too overexposed. You couldn't see that change during the entire process.
Yeah, the balance between the tree and the sky and all that.
I got a couple good photos out of it that I took out of, but yeah,
I got ideas for the next time we go.
Already planning out the next eclipse.
Chile, December next year.
Yeah, you got to go to Chile. Didn't they just have one?
Yeah.
Yeah, they get like 2 in a row.
Yeah, it's crazy.
And then the year after is Indiana, right?
And then Indiana is 2023.
23, okay.
I think.
Guys are planning on chasing the eclipses.
It's going from Mexico like straight up through the Midwest.
Right.
And out of the U.S. so it goes through Texas, and it'll be going, I think, near St. Louis.
Okay.
And then it passes over Indiana, which is where a bunch of my family's from. So we'll probably go there, and then it'll clear up into Canada and then stop.
It's always fascinating how that, because like you said, it's going through Missouri. The last one went right through my hometown and also Jefferson City, which is the capital. And it became this weird, like, marketing uptick for the entire area.
Right.
You know, people,
So we're in Casper, Wyoming. This tiny little town that's
Casper, Wyoming is like the biggest city in Wyoming, but it's only like 150,000 people.
Yeah.
And for a day, there was 500,000 people in this town.
festival, pop-up festival all over. It totally reminded me of a city like right out of Cars, like Radiator Springs. It's a definition of that town.
Yep. And what was really interesting was we had to get down to Denver for a show the very next day.
Yep.
So the eclipse finished. We packed up our tents. We put all our stuff away. We hopped in the van. We got on the road. Now, Casper to Denver is like, 4 or 5 hours, but it took us 16 hours to get down to Denver.
oh,
Just
Lord.
the traffic alone.
Wow.
It was literally lines of cars as far as the eye.
And there was no
could
other way to
see.
get out.
And there's nowhere to go
Nope.
because every road out of Wyoming was backed up.
It's funny. We get into Colorado, and Colorado did it right. They had porta potties literally along the side of the road. I was like, they were thinking.
Smart.
Yeah, it was an incredible experience. Like, so much fun.
Did you get to talk to anyone from the town? Like, how was that for somebody? Was it like, yay, financial gain for our town, or boo, this is insane to do?
No, most people were stoked. We talked to a couple of people. They were
Everybody
stoked.
we talked to in town who lived there was like really excited that people were in their town and spending money, and because a lot of people came into town at least a couple of days before.
Mm-hmm.
And everybody left as soon as the eclipse was done. But it was 2 or 3 days of just this like economic boom for Casper, Wyoming. A little town that, most people don't ever have any need to go to unless they're heading somewhere else,
Road trip down.
Yeah, I think that's how a lot of the small towns in Missouri experience that as well. Like they had, the shirts printed up of where the eclipse was going, and
Yeah, there were T-shirts in every store, even if they weren't a T-shirt store. There was eclipse stuff everywhere you went. It was incredible.
The amount of news crews was crazy.
Yeah. As it turned out, Casper was considered like one of the best spots in the country to go see it, and we were fortunate enough to get to go there. We actually camped on Bureau of Land Management land outside of town. So we only went into town for like the day before.
Get some food, enjoy the
Get
city.
some food, do the party that everybody was doing, and then enjoyed the eclipse the next day.
So do you enjoy, I know you said that you enjoy doing documentaries about like nature and animals, but do you enjoy things like the natural occurring events like the eclipse, or would you ever be a storm chaser?
Oh my God. Actually, I have some really cool storm photos. The other one that, it's somewhat viral is I shot the supermoon time lapse was that last year, I think, that went up on ABC News.
Oh, did you? I didn't know that.
I went right over the convention center. So I love doing all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, it was beautiful. Beautiful shot.
How did it end up on ABC News?
I have no idea. It's just someone just saw that I posted it, and it went through a third party that basically their job is to search through local news all over the internet. They contacted me like, hey, we want to get the rights to this, so I gave them the rights. We'll send you anything, and sure enough, literally within a couple hours, I saw it on ABC News. Huh. So I got a check for like $150, and I was like, sweet.
And they got some coverage on ABC News?
Yeah.
Should be like, have other stuff, guys.
I tried, but they're very much a like whatever's in the moment.
In the moment,
they wanted that
relevant.
one thing.
Yeah. I remember seeing it. I was like, that's so cool.
Yeah.
So wait, you said that you have photos of storms and things from here or other places that you've lived?
It's. I wish I could go back to Hawaii now that I know what I know with a lot of my camera stuff. Some of the lava photos I have are great, but oh God, they could be so much better. The night photography out there, same thing too. Mm-hmm. Big Island, especially, they have the observatories all up there.
Oh,
Big Island is small, even though it's the Big Island. It's a small town. Sidewalks roll up by 9 o'clock at night. No lights. So the night photography out there is great.
Yeah.
Something I didn't know how to do back then. So like I have some cool shots, but nothing that I would like.
It's time for me to go back to Hawaii too. So I think you and I just need to take a trip and
I've never been, so we should all
pack up
just
some
go hang
bags
out.
full of cameras. Let Whitney be our pack mule. And,
Southwest is cheap now. I mean, yeah, no, it's
Because you can camp like anywhere on Hawaii, right? Like on the beaches. Like, can't you just pitch a tent? And
I think so. I've never really done a lot of it, actually.
I'm pretty sure it's the law there that they can't get
all beach is public property.
Yeah,
which is great because even at a hotel, you can walk out and be part of that.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like you could shoot a great horror film in Hawaii. I have some ideas.
backdrop for a lot of places that do horror.
Yep.
Yeah.
Sci-fi.
Yep.
Alien.
Lost.
Well,
Predator,
there's a
Lost.
lot of like native folklore and stories that definitely are great.
Oh God, there's
greatly
tons.
terrifying.
There are tons out there. Yep.
So
Cool. I think we just figured out our next like big thing to do.
Hell yeah.
We can go there and practice some stuff that we will then take to Chile when we go for the next eclipse.
Down.
all the things.
I want to go to Chile.
But no, it's
Chile.
funny. Even just as far as storm chasing, I just took it on my cell phone, but for digital workshop.
Oh, that photo you took from the van.
Yeah, we're following the truck. We're going to Seattle for a show. It's a two vehicle load of gear. So the truck's up ahead of us, or we're behind.
I'm up in the truck.
Okay.
And we're in the middle of nowhere, California.
Okay. This is in California.
Literally, you just see this wall of cloud up ahead
And rain.
and rain. Just you see it, and it's this gorgeous yellowish color. So I take a photo of it and I send it to him. Dave's like, "Holy crap, that's awesome!"
Well, then you got that cool lightning shot when you're
Yeah.
driving to Denver, right? I got a similar style shot of lightning that I took in Texas
Yeah.
like a year and a half ago when I was driving through Texas.
Yeah. So again, another two vehicle. We just get into New Mexico. Big storm up ahead. I'm waiting for the truck that's at the scales. And I see this storm up ahead, and it's just lightning. So sure enough, I'm just sitting there with my camera, throw it on slow-mo mode in my iPhone, just do a video, and then just capture the one screenshot of it. It worked out great.
Yeah, that's how I did mine.
So, I mean, you guys travel all across the country all the time. Have you ever been or had any desire to be anywhere where you can photograph a tornado or a hurricane?
Having been underneath a cloud that was starting to turn and twist like it was turning into a tornado, no, I have no desire to chase tornadoes.
I've been in a couple of tornadoes in my life growing up in Minnesota.
Yeah. Yeah, I've been in tornadoes in Missouri.
Oh, yeah.
So,
And I lived in Florida, so I've been through pretty much. Honestly, the only thing I've never really felt is an earthquake. And I've lived in Hawaii and Florida and California.
weirdly,
And-
the only place I've ever been in an earthquake was in Virginia.
Yeah.
It's not that weird.
Really?
Yeah, not that weird at all.
They're not really supposed to have earthquakes there.
Says who?
It says, I don't know, the historic documentation of where earthquakes happen.
Some of the biggest earthquakes in America are not in California.
That's
Right,
true.
right.
That's true. No, I say it's because, like, literally 2 years before they started fracking in the area where they ended up getting this earthquake. Anyway,
The tornadoes are at least cool to film because it's one. Hurricanes, I mean, it's clouds.
Yeah.
rain,
There's
it's-
a lot of gray.
It's just there's unless you can get some drone footage or some satellite, like that's where hurricane to me that's where
wait, so
hurricane
have you
footage.
filmed a tornado before?
No.
No. You're like, no. It's really interesting, though. Like, you were talking about the tonal shifts whenever you went through the eclipse. The green color.
The pea green
sky-
color? Oh, yeah.
It's
Yep.
so creepy.
Yeah. You just sense something's wrong without even having to see anything else out. It's like the whole atmosphere is just telling you something's about to happen.
Yep.
So you wouldn't like put your life on the line to try and capture any of that?
Oh, sure I would.
Oh, you would? Okay. You'd be one of those crazy people that are like, I'm going to go film this tornado now.
You can film it, I'll drive,
Perfect.
and we'll be good.
All
I
right.
just need a tank.
Just remember, if it gets close, go for the ditch.
Well, I look forward to many adventures ahead with you, Mike.
Yeah, absolutely, buddy.
And I've told you a couple of times, like meeting you, I felt like was one of those fortuitous things that was meant to happen in my life. Like, I know there's things we're going to be doing,
All the nature parks
forward.
that we keep talking about going to and all that stuff.
and that we keep going to.
Yep.
Like,
Yep.
we went to Crater Lake.
Oh God, that popped up in my that popped up in my my year later. Just that was last 2 weeks ago,
Yeah.
3 weeks ago.
We got up and watched the sunrise over Crater Lake.
That's
It was,
awesome.
incredible. So, we got lots of adventures ahead.
Yeah.
So, but it's good to like have you on and like talk about
my pleasure,
where you
bud.
come from and
Thank you.
how you've gotten to where you are. Like,
Absolutely.
And now people know all the things about you.
I'm an open book.
Whitney's not. I keep trying to get her to open up more.
About what?
Whitney.
I don't know what you're talking about.
So anyway, thanks, Mike. Thank you, Whitney.
Thank you.
If you have enjoyed listening to our podcast here, be sure to check out theintellectual.com because there are over 250 episodes of this show that you can go back and listen to. The entire catalog is available.
It's a lot of episodes.
Yeah, and it's a lot of very different kind of episodes.
I went back recently and listened to a couple of the originals. It was fun.
Yeah, the show was very interesting when it started. It became something else entirely, and it's had its different lives throughout the 6 years that we've been doing it.
Keeps evolving.
Keeps evolving, keeps changing. We recently updated the website, so it's nice and lean and clean and I think easy to navigate. We're available on all the podcast platforms that you will likely try to find us on. So be sure to hit subscribe and don't miss any future episodes as they drop. And make sure you check out the Gonna Geek Network, of which we are a proud member at gonnageek.com, where there are a multitude of fun, geeky podcasts available, including podcasts that will teach you how to do podcasts. So if you have an inkling towards the spoken word and digital distribution, that might be of interest to you. So gonnageek.com, proud member. This is The Intellectual. I've been sitting here with our guest,
Mike Peterson.
my co-host,
Whitney Wegman Wood.
and I'm out. We'll talk to you soon.
Bye.
Hello there, citizens. I am the terror that flaps in the night. I am the floaty that will not flush no matter how many times you try in the toilet bowl of crime. I am Darkwing Duck, telling you please, talk hard and enjoy the mindgasm. Whatever the heck that means. After all, you are watching Intellectual Podcast with your ears.